It actually worked, Jane.
Yeah.
We're getting ready for summer this week, so if you're mapping out your summer vacation plans, he's got all the latest travel tips and deals. Please welcome back the founder of Scott's Cheap Flights, Scott Keyes. Scott, welcome back. So, Scott, first of all, are you good to travel with? Are you a good traveling companion?
I didn't used to be good to travel with. My wife has chilled me out a little bit, helped me kind of learn to go with the flow. I am very indebted to her to make me a better traveler than I used to be.
What can we expect this summer?
Yeah.
People are finally revenge traveling.
That's right. Look, I think it's actually going to be a record-breaking summer for travel. And if you're not careful, that could lead to some really expensive flights. Now, here's why. Look, demand for travel is fully rebounded. The number of people searching for flights higher than it was pre-pandemic. Planes are actually fuller today than they were in 2019. And normally airlines would respond by really kind of ramping up the number of flights, but they can't do that because they don't have enough pilots, they don't have enough planes, and they don't have enough ground crew. That's the bad news. Here's the good news. Even as average airfare is really spiking, two things can be true at the same time. Flights can be getting more expensive, and there can still be tons of cheap flights available, and that's what I'm here to help with.
So is there a specific time to travel that's a better time than other times?
Yeah, look, the beginning of summer and the end of summer are typically going to see rates that are 20-30% cheaper than that middle of summer section when most people are traveling and you start to see inflated airfare. So if you have some flexibility in your schedule, trying to target that shoulder of summer, the beginning, the end, last few weeks of August, or if you can really go the week after Labor Day, fares are usually 50 or 60% lower than the week before.
Well, let's play a game. Let's go somewhere. Where should we? I want to go somewhere. What cities are the best to go to right now?
Europe. This is a surprising answer. People don't think summer Europe as something that is synonymous with cheap flights, but this year's a little different, and here's why. Travel demand for domestic flights is basically fully rebounded where it was pre-pandemic, but the supply of domestic flights is still down about 15%. But travel demand internationally is down about 20 to 30%, but the number of flights is actually going to be higher this summer than it was summer 2019. So Europe is where the good value is. Some of the flights that I actually was looking in the green room this morning from New York City to Oslo for $298 nonstop round trip for this summer, available right now. Flights from DC to Iceland for $340 nonstop round trip. Chicago to Mallorca, that beautiful Spanish island, for $418 round trip. Those flights are still available. If you're hoping, you're saying, I don't want to travel overseas, want to stay closer to home, still great deals popping up. Like, for instance, Washington, D.C. to Martha's Vineyard for $177. LA or San Francisco to Vegas for $98 nonstop round trip, full service airline. Or if you want to be adventurous, Chicago, Alaska for $457 round trip. So why not?
You have me at Oslo. There's a great rotisserie restaurant there, Art, which we should think about later.
You have a 21-day rule.
What's the 21-day rule?
I love this rule. So, Jen, last time you booked a flight, you probably had to click the box that said, I agree to the terms and conditions, right? And in those terms and conditions, there's something called the fare rules, where they often have something called the 21-day fare rule. This means that the cheapest flights are actually only available up to 21 days before the flight takes off. So what this means is that if you have a flight that you have got your eye on, you should set a mental deadline of 21 days before your flight to make sure you get your flight booked by then. If you wait till day 20, chances are the fares are going to go way up.
He's the guy that reads that whole thing that we just click
Could you
at the
read
bottom.
the iOS agree thing too for me? Because I'm confused about that
This
one.
is my job. I'm
agree
paid to do
daily.
it.
Yeah, okay. What about change fees? Airlines have been waiving those for a while. Are they still doing that?
It is the best airline policy that has happened in years. Look, pre-pandemic, when you booked your flights, you were pretty well locked in.
Right.
If you wanted to change your dates, you had to really pony up $300, $400, sometimes more. Now, airlines across the board have gotten rid of those change fees. As long as you don't have a basic economy ticket, you can book your flight and then change it later, switch the dates, whatever, without having to pay any penalty. You do still have to cover the fare difference, but it actually goes both ways. So if the new flight is cheaper, you get the difference back in the form of a travel.
What about if you booked a trip before COVID hit and the world kind of shut down for a while? Will they still change those tickets now?
Yeah, so typically what's happened is that folks got a travel credit that many airlines have actually been extending and extending. But the good news is that federal law says if the airline cancels or significantly changes your flight, you are entitled to a full cash refund, period. No travel credit, no voucher. You are entitled to that cash refund if you'd like one.
Scott, I'm curious, do you have any tips on where to stand at the baggage claim to get your bag? Because I'm trying to think, do I stand at the mouth of the conveyor belt? Do I go to
That's
the
where
first
everybody
corner?
is.
I know, but
Everybody's
You
at
got to
the mouth.
sneak through
Do you-
that
do you
little,
stand
that
in the-
little door and make sure, you get
or do you
right
stand
to the
just
front.
behind and go in for the grab? Like, I need to know.
You got to anticipate which way the conveyor belt
Well,
is going
that's
to be
true,
going, so
right.
you stand at the
Yeah,
front rather than at the back.
Yeah.
I usually pick the wrong conveyor belt, too. Scott, thank you for all the information, all the tips. Great to see you again. Safe travels,
So nice
buddy.
to see
My
you.
pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
For these tips, you can go to kellyandryan.com and you can check out Scott's book, Take More Vacations. Yes, we're for it. Everywhere books are sold, and we will be right back.